Hey, it just don't stop. Bob Arum throws Terence Crawford under the bus again, says, no hate, kid, but Terence Crawford ain't a pay-per-view star, ain't making him no money on pay-per-view. That's basically what he said. This after Manny Pacquiao announces that Errol Spence, often thought of as a Crawford rival, gets the Pacquiao sweepstakes. Pacquiao Spence coming up next. Bud Crawford, it's looking bad. We're going to talk about it in this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. Make sure you click the link in the description to sign up for TUBEBUDDY. Take your YouTube channel to the next level. Listen, I started off with 0 subscribers like everyone else on the platform. We're over 200,000 and counting. One of the ways that I did it was optimizing my content. A great feature, actually the #1 feature and resource for YouTubers in terms of YouTuber tools is TUBEBUDDY. So click the link in the description. If you have a channel, take your content up by using TUBEBUDDY. Now, let's talk about it. In case you live under a rock, Errol Spence and Manny Pacquiao, they're fighting next. This was confirmed. Errol Spence even, in my opinion, snuck a little shot at Terence Crawford while naming this as his next fight. You guys see it. Spence, Pacquiao, Spence, depending on whose name you want to put first. The legend or the 2-time champion. Either way, Pacquiao versus Spence, August 21st, Las Vegas, Nevada, Fox pay-per-view. Now, Errol Spence in his caption said, done deal. I see y'all in Vegas for the biggest fight of the year. Hashtag man down. Hashtag Spence Pac, yeah. Hashtag strap season. Hashtag big fish. And you put a shark. And then he said hashtag blame Bob. Right? Now, speaking of Bob Arum, so he Errol Spence, the king of the division, the king of petty, he said hashtag blame Bob. The Athletic did an interview, and this is what Bob Arum's reaction was to Pacquiao Spence. I'll put the links in the description. Spoke to Bob Arum about losing the Wilder Fury arbitration, but also seeing Manny Pacquiao veer from a failed effort to make a Terence Crawford fight and sign on to fight Errol Spence on PBC Fox pay-per-view this week. He insists it doesn't heighten the rivalry with Al Heyman. And, that's kind of a weird caption. How would it create a rivalry? I mean, they got a good fight, just that part didn't make sense to me. Bob Arum says, quote, getting the money for a Crawford versus Pacquiao fight, we were not successful. We tried to get Abu Dhabi funds. Manny gave us a complete shot to do it, and we couldn't do it. Now Heyman either raised the money or has the money to do Errol Spence. Fine. We have absolutely no problem with it. So once again, these closing statements are a bit weird for me. We have absolutely no problem with it. There's nothing you could have a problem with or do if you're Bob Arum, Terence Crawford, or Top Rank. The fight is done. It's a done deal. Errol Spence is talking about blame Bob. It's a lit fight. Fans seemed hyped with this announcement. This has been confirmed by Fox and PBC as well. There's not really anything you could do. So I don't understand, as if the world needed Bob Arum's approval or Top Rank's approval. So I don't understand the closing statements talking about we have absolutely no problem with it. I mean, even if you had a problem with it, what does that do? They still made the fight confirmed by both fighters and also the network. Legendary stuff for Pacquiao, fighting a young, hungry lion, as Floyd Mayweather always says. Bad news for Terence Crawford. Let's read this again. Getting the money for a Crawford-Pacquiao fight, we were not successful, so they failed. Top Rank, Team Crawford, Bomac, they failed to get the money situated. We tried to get Abu Dhabi funds. Manny Pacquiao gave us a complete shot to do it, so Pacquiao even gave him an opportunity in their quote-unquote negotiations, if you believe that. He gave him an opportunity to see if they could produce the money. When they couldn't, Pacquiao went on with his business and made a deal that obviously worked. Pacquiao Spence Fox pay-per-view. He says, we couldn't do it. Now Al Heyman either raised the money or has the money to do it. Fine. We have absolutely no problem with it. So Bob Arum is just basically waving the white flag, touche. They did their thing. They were somehow able to do it. Now, I have so many questions about that, and this is a bad look, as I've been saying, for Terence Crawford. Ego Stradamus strikes again. For one, you got to look at it. You have a black American fighter with 2 belts, Errol Spence Jr. He has been branded incredibly through his team, his efforts, his skill set, his Olympic background, his family. He even says that his dad was pretty much the one that pushed him to go fight for PBC Network. He said, my dad wanted Al. That's what Errol Spence said. I seen it in the interview. He said his dad being, the wise man or whatever, and somebody he looks up to, his dad was the one that said, you need to sign with Al Heyman. And now he over here dancing. Hey, stop that cat. Hey, stop that cat. Hey. And he with Yellow Beezy with famous rappers, got the Pacquiao fight, back in the gym and enjoying life. And I'm sure like training, getting ready for this mega event. So black American fighter, Olympian, Errol Spence, didn't talk about it. And I think we need to note that. He didn't talk about it. Pacquiao didn't talk about it. Ryan Garcia said he was fighting Pacquiao, a DAZN fighter, posted about it. Nothing ever materialized. Errol Spence, shout out to him. He's a bit older than Ryan Garcia. And at the end of the day, he kept it like under lock and key. Didn't say nothing extra, right? And he just announced after he followed Pacquiao's lead. It looks like he didn't create any kind of egotistical problems because it says Pacquiao Spence, despite him being the 2-belt champion. He's letting the legend, have top billing. And then they just got together and did the business and made it happen. Meanwhile, you have Bob Arum, and he's saying, we try to put this fight in Abu Dhabi. So you have another black American fighter, Terence Bud Crawford, phenomenal talent, skilled guy. And Errol Spence is saying, blame Bob. And I question why one black American fighter is with PBC, who I've told you, they seem to be a bit more diverse in their approach and their staffing and their fighters and blah, 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 and how their fighters are taught. You see ESPN and Top Rank, they coddle and cater to Tyson Fury a lot. Like he was on the Josh Taylor broadcast and they're like acting like he's the life of the party and stuff. He should really be training for Wilder 3, but that's a separate video. And you have another fighter like Terence Crawford, who all the skills out of this world, he's a top guy at the welterweight, but people have been dumbfounded by the opponents that he's had at welterweight and feel like given his talent, given his skill, he should be in bigger fights. Even like guys that Errol Spence already beat, like Sean Porter, right? Guys that Pacquiao already beat, like Keith Thurman, but seemingly these fights aren't happening. And there were people who lied and said Pacquiao couldn't fight in the United States of America because he had seemingly tax issues or whatever reason. They lied and said Pacquiao couldn't fight. But as you guys see, August 21st, Las Vegas, Nevada. So just like Steph Curry, shooters shoot. So it makes you wonder, how come Bob Arum has to say, we tried to get Abu Dhabi funds, and then last year they're saying the pandemic happened, so we couldn't get the Crawford fight. Last year they said they were going to do it in Qatar, but they blamed it on the pandemic. Then this year it says we tried to get the funds and we, quote, couldn't do it. These are direct quotes from Bob Arum. So it makes you wonder how Top Rank and ESPN is in 90 million, 100 million homes, big network, they couldn't do it and get the funds. Second, why would it happen in Abu Dhabi, yet PBC got a fight in Las Vegas for their champion fighter, Black American Errol Spence? So these are questions. But now to make that even more effed up and add insult to injury, in the actual interview with Bob Arum that was just posted, link in the description, it says Top Rank promoter Bob Arum, who handles both Josh Taylor and Crawford, told The Athletic before the fight that he likes the idea of placing Crawford-Taylor fight in the UK. So once again, you have a Black American fighter and he's the known champion. If the fight happened, it'd be at 147. He got to go over to the UK to try to make money, presumably Scotland. So the guy they've both been undisputed. So why would Crawford, who was undisputed before Josh Taylor, why would he have to go to enemy territory to fight? This is what I've told you. Top Rank, they have this thing called the NBF list, courtesy of Cameron Duncan, somebody who managed fighters that work with Top Rank. And it was like basically the matchmakers steer away from certain black fighters. And I told you, this is something that I felt Top Rank could improve on. Just the way their black fighters, particularly black American skill fighters, Shakur Stevenson, Terence Crawford, and the likes of fighters like that were promoted. And now you see they're talking about Taylor, who just beat Jose Ramirez, became undisputed. They're talking about Crawford in the UK, where Crawford's past struggles to draw major numbers would be remedied by the support for Taylor. So this is a bad look. They're painting this narrative that there's no black dollar, like black Americans, a guy like Crawford, he can't draw numbers. But for some reason, Errol Spence can draw numbers, and he's been on pay-per-view, and y'all don't see a problem here. So Errol Spence don't have to fight Pacquiao in Qatar. He doesn't have to fight Pacquiao in Abu Dhabi or Singapore or in the UK. They're fighting right homegrown in Las Vegas, Nevada, a U.S. state, right? But this is what Bob Arum said about Crawford. Quote, "We'll look for whoever the best guy is to put with him," Arum said. "We could make a big fight for Terence Crawford against former welterweight champ Sean Porter, but who's going to pay for it? There's a limit to what I could get out of ESPN, and on pay-per-view, I have no confidence that it's going to do a big number. Crawford's never done anything on pay-per-view. Nothing against him. It is what it is." Wow. So you have Crawford's very own boxing promoter, again throwing him under the bus, as I said at the beginning of this video, saying, quote, "There's a limit to what I could get out of ESPN. Who's going to pay for Crawford Porter, right? On pay-per-view, I have no confidence that it's going to do a big number." So Crawford has never done anything on pay-per-view. Nothing against him. It is what it is. Wow. So Bob Arum previously said last year that he could have bought a house with the money he's losing, a nice house at that, in Beverly Hills off the money he's losing with Terence Crawford. And then now he comes out and says this. So this is the promoter of the guy. This is almost like the Rigondeaux treatment. When Bob Arum told you, hey, when I talk to the HBO execs, they want to throw up and barf when they hear about Rigondeaux. Now, this is a bad look for Terence Crawford because this is his brand. He's been on the scene longer than Errol Spence, for real. And his own promoter continues to throw him under the bus and tell you that he's non-sellable and or he's not generating big enough interest or whatever, so they have to get creative. And one time Bob Arum said put him in Africa, South Africa, take him to the UK. They're looking at money in Abu Dhabi. But then you have another black American who came out and really developed and gained prominence after Terence Crawford. Everybody knew about Crawford from the Gamboa fight. So that was way before Errol Spence started getting the big opportunities and was a champion. Yet and still, as good of a fighter he is, he's being kind of thrown under the bus and said that he can't generate. I don't know where Bob Arum gets that information. I would happily pay for Sean Porter, Terence Crawford, even though Porter doesn't have a belt. It would be the best name on Crawford's welterweight resume as far as I'm concerned. But you might as well just promote yourself at this point. If your own promoter is saying I can't get no money with this guy, and I could go on and on and on, but I'm gonna cut this video. Last thing I'll say is this completely shatters any notion that Terence Crawford has ever said about being the A side over Errol Spence. For one, the fight you've been clamoring for and trying to get for 8 years, easily Errol Spence got it within Pacquiao being with PBC for 2 fights. Broner, Keith Thurman, they came before Errol, 3rd fight. maybe even Pacquiao's last fight, depending on how it plays out, and he gets it. Crawford's been on HBO and ESPN with Pacquiao, and it's evaded him. Like, he hasn't been able to get the fight with Pacquiao. Now, in addition to that, no matter how good of a disciplined student of the game, skilled Crawford is, your own promoter is saying, we couldn't get it done for you, right? We tried to get money in Abu Dhabi, but we were unsuccessful. And who's going to pay for him on pay-per-view? Now they're talking about Crawford having to fight a 140-pounder, moving up, and give him the hometown favor. So it's eerily similar to Pacquiao's last fight with Top Rank, how his last fight happened in another country in Australia, and then Pacquiao lost even though people thought that he won. So I don't know, it almost looks like a setup for Crawford. He has a contract expiring, your promoter's throwing you under the bus, and they're trying to take you to another country to fight a guy who just became undisputed. So who knows what the judges and the ref and the scorecards would be. You know, crazy situation. And I think these are some of the reasons why Errol said blame Bob. Very bad look as far as I'm concerned. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Demetrius Andrade, he's kind of in the same boat, you know. He's in the same boat. He's on Twitter like asking for all the fans. But the guy right here next to him, Danny Garcia, he's gotten every opportunity with PBC, with Al Heyman, and he's had big fights. There's no one that can say Danny Garcia don't have a good resume and things like that. But these two next to him, Crawford and Andrade, you know, it's just like, when is Eddie Hearn gonna get Andrade a big fight? Terence Crawford's constantly being thrown on the bus. You hate to see it. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster. We working.